up, Internet? Today I'm giving you my review of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the multiplayer portion of the game. So, with that being said, there are three general sections that I'm going to cover. Stuff that you do in between games, the game modes, and the actual gameplay itself. So, first starting off with what you do in between the games, that means like what you do with your guns, your avatars, just all that kind of stuff. So, first starting off with guns. Pretty sweet. There are just there seems to be a crap ton of guns in this game. There are assault rifles, SMGs, shotguns, LMGs, sniper rifles, the riot shield, and of course you have the pistols, the launchers, all that good stuff. And it's not necessarily new, but a new general category called marksman rifles. Now those are not as good as like sniper rifles, but they are a slower kind of more damage oriented rifles, usually single shot or bolt action, one of those two. So just a lot of different guns to really dive into and play with. I actually like the marksmanship rifles. I think they add a different twist, or not even a twist, like just kind of a different gameplay style that we haven't really seen in a lot of separate Call of Duties. But kind of moving on from the different guns, each gun itself has a crap ton of different attachments. And you can change anything from the scope to what kind of barrel you have, to what kind of muzzle, to what kind of grips, what kind of what kind of stocks, what kind of magazines you have. Just a lot of customization that is there. In my opinion, it's really almost kind of overwhelming, the amount of different things that they have in the game itself, because like even as you can see here, the amount of different scopes that you can put on your rifle is kind of redonkulous, and it's kind of just a lot of filler almost, because they all kind of do the same thing. And I know, granted, they do have different perks. Like some of them, it's a slightly zoomed in image, others are much more zoomed, like actual scopes, others are just kind of more of a red dot sight along those lines. But once you kind of take a look at all of them, they all kind of seem a little redundant after a while. Like some of them seem like they all do the same thing, maybe just a minor tweak here and there, which I understand they all probably do have their purpose, but it seems like a lot. And one thing that I do like to mention, I know that this was in which game was that? It was Call of Duty World War II, the reboot, like 2 years ago or whatever. One thing I do actually kind of miss from that is the rifle range, where you can test out the new guns and the new configurations that you have. I do kind of miss that because you can't test out rifles or all these different scopes without having to play a full game. And like if you mess with your main class and you tweak it slightly with that different scope or that different attachment, unless you have a duplicate class of what you had previously, then that class is pretty much just shot for an entire round of gameplay, which is, I mean, kind of annoying. But that's neither here nor there. That's just kind of a very minor complaint. Next, in terms of guns, leveling up seems to be a bit different. Like the levels are a lot higher for the guns themselves than ever before. Like I believe with the main gun the level goes all the way up to 60, and I'm not sure how that will affect when you prestige or anything like that. I personally have not made it that far, but I'm curious to see how that will actually affect, and how it will affect the leveling up of the gun, but we'll just kind of have to wait and see on that point. Next thing, there's also a lot of customization, not even with the attachments, but with the different scopes. Like for the red dot, you can like change the reticle and all that stuff, and also you have the camos, of course. Now the camos, it feels different, but I think essentially it is the same thing from before. Different camo styles have different requirements, so some of them you need to be crouched, some of them there are actually like headshots that you need to get, some of them are just long distance shots or marksman shots, I forget what they call them. But the camo, like unlocking the different camos, is pretty much the same. I think it's just kind of a slightly different presentation than what we have seen in previous Call of Duties. And on top of that, they also have stickers and something that they call charms, which I don't know why they have stickers or charms. I mean, it just sounds like one more thing that they're going to try to inject in, like, some sort of paywall, or not even, well, yeah, paywall, with loot boxes and all that kind of stuff. Just something else to pay for later down the line. But maybe that's just me. I actually don't have any stickers or charms to actually put on my gun, so I really can't say what they look like or anything like that. But I personally don't really go for that kind of stuff. Like, the camos are really enough to show my style, my personality in the game itself. So the stickers and the charms, they aren't really necessary, but you know, whatever. Moving on from that, still in the overall category of between matches, you have the avatars. Now, the avatars are just kind of like the different skins that you can have for your character on screen. Now, there is a good variety, and again, you have to do certain things to unlock new avatars, and I do enjoy that. I'm curious to see what kind of stuff they will be pushing out later, like how ridiculous it will be, or how realistic it will be, and all that kind of stuff. I'm curious to see where they will go with it. Again, I haven't unlocked all the different skins, but they all do have a certain charm to them that I do like, and even within those skins that you unlock, they even have a bit more of customizability below that. Not too much, just kind of general color changes and stuff like that, but it is a nice addition, or a nice thing to include with the skins themselves. And as before, they have ways that you can boost your XP as well, of like getting a certain amount of kills with like SMGs or assault rifles or anything like that. So nothing new there either. Finally, moving on to the next overall category is the game modes. Now, they have all the standard game modes like Domination, Team Deathmatch, Headquarters, all that stuff. And now you don't have to necessarily be stuck in one. You can actually do, I don't know what they call it, I think it's just kind of like a quick play, I think they call it, but essentially just kind of like generic gameplay, and you can actually filter, and they have all the modes listed in there. And so when you're in quick gameplay, it'll actually rotate between all of those. And with that, you can actually filter what modes you want to play in. So if you want to play Domination, Headquarters, and Team Deathmatch, like I do, you can filter all those and just have those, and it'll cycle between all of those matches. And it's actually pretty nice. It switches it up nicely to be able to just be able to switch up the gameplay instead of having to play Domination for a little while and then back all the way out and then rejoin Team Deathmatch or rejoin Headquarters or anything like that. So it is a welcome change. At first it really kind of threw me off, like I didn't know where Domination was or where generic Team Deathmatch was, but once I figured out what the system was and how it worked, it was actually quite nice. And of course they have the hardcore mode for those different generic game modes as well. Moving from that, some of the big additions from there is actually Ground War. So this, I mean, people have been talking about it leading up to the actual release of the game. It's just massive maps, massive amount of players, a lot of shooting, vehicles, all that good stuff. So I mean, it is a fun game mode, I will say, but I personally would recommend that you go in there with some way of doing long distance battle, because there seems to be a lot of snipers, a lot of that kind of stuff. So just kind of keep that in mind. That's just kind of my personal recommendation. So create a class with your sniper rifle and some sort of backup weapon as well, or at least some way to do long distance battle and close range battle as well. Moving on from there, it's the 2v2 mode, which I think is technically called Gunfight. Don't know if I'm the biggest fan of it at this point. I did play a little bit, and I will say the very first time that I played Gunfight was a while ago, and I tested it out, and it was me and obviously it was me and one other guy and the other two people on the other side in this very small map. So we played the first round, everything was hunky-dory, we lost, I was like, okay, that's fine. Then for the next rounds, I was just getting obliterated, and I really had no idea why. I was just baffled as to why we were just getting destroyed. Well, as it turns out, I think after that very first round, my teammate left. He just quit the match, and then it was just me versus the two other people, and me. I don't know if I was really all that good at the mode anyway, but yeah, I just got obliterated. So that was kind of annoying. I can definitely recommend playing with a friend that you can trust to not drop out in the middle of a match, or you'll just have to wade through all the people until you find that one person that is as dedicated as you are, whether you are good or bad. You'll just have to wait and find that perfect match in terms of Gunfight. Anyway, I know I waited a little bit to get this review out and all that stuff, but I'm actually glad I did, because it seems that they have it seems as though they have taken away one of the modes. Initially, it was realism, and it essentially equated to hardcore mode, but that seems at this point to have been taken away, and I believe it has actually been replaced with the they call it NVG. Now, this mode has also been talked about up until the actual release of the game. It is that night mode where you have the laser sights and all that stuff, and you have to work closely with your team, the realistic night mode with the night vision goggles and all that good stuff. So I believe that's what they have replaced that realism mode with, or the hardcore mode. I don't know. It's not a huge loss. Again, when I did play it, I just equated it to hardcore mode anyway, because there was limited HUD, no HUD actually, and just all that general stuff. So, not really a loss. It's just kind of one of those things. But that is all the game modes. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to hit me up down in the comment section down below. And with that being said, last but not least, the actual gameplay. So, for the actual gameplay, I mean, it's pretty standard Call of Duty. I know people have been talking a lot about the maps and how they kind of mirror the older style Call of Duty, where it isn't just these 3 lanes forcing you into certain gunfights and all that kind of stuff. Excuse me, it's more of the old school Call of Duty, where there's a lot of entry points and a lot of vulnerable places that you can be, which is good and bad. Good because I do like the more open maps. The 3 lanes got really kind of annoying, and it just got old after a while. But with these more open maps and more vulnerable positions, this has led to a lot more camping than there was in the the past few Call of Duties, which, I mean, camping, whatever, like, we could have a whole discussion about that, but it just leads to camping, which to be able to deal with it, you have to change your gameplay, or change how you play the game and all that good stuff. And with the actual multiplayer itself overall, still kind of on the gameplay itself, the way that they implemented this new art style onto it with, like, the realistic sounding guns, or at least the better sounding guns, and, like, just the tweaks that they made in terms of visually with the smoking barrel of the gun and all that good stuff, it translates very well into multiplayer, and I just love it, love the sounds, love the visuals, really just kind of love everything about this new art style that they have in Call of Duty. So, that was a lot to take in. Overall, it's really just kind of more Call of Duty. Again, do love the art style, do love the implementation of all the different modes and all the tweaks that just kind of make for really just kind of a better Call of Duty experience. Like I said, it is kind of the same old thing, so we'll kind of see how long this excitement for Call of Duty for me personally lasts. I don't know. It really could go either way at this point. The campers are kind of annoying, but again, just have to kind of change the way that you play the game a little bit. Other than that, yeah, really just love the game, and if you have any comments, questions, or anything like that about anything that I talked about in this video, feel free to hit me up in the comment section down below. Feel free to like this video, feel free to subscribe so you can see more Call of Duty, and when I stream me playing Call of Duty, be easy on me. Not the best Call of Duty player, but I do enjoy playing it. And also, if you do subscribe, remember to ring that little bell so you know when I do put out new videos and when I do actually stream. Also, feel free to follow me on social media. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so feel free to hit me up, follow, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff on those social media platforms as well. With all that being said, this is 3G Geek, signing off.